Hey Harmonizers, welcome to day 6 with Cadbury, my Mustang, who's getting started under saddle in Virginia with my friends Jen and Joe. And you're going to see us all working together collectively here to help Cadbury. And we're going to show you some pretty interesting pieces of this process that are different, totally different than what we've been doing the other days. So first up, Joe started with a fair bit of working him off of his horse. So this is Bambi that he's riding, who's his steady Eddie horse, and he's doing a lot of turns and moving around with Cadbury. And so there's some really interesting things happening during this, which is that Cadbury is getting right beside Joe, being way up there, so he's taking some direction from having somebody up top, which Joe has definitely done a whole bunch of jumping on and off, but this gives kind of a different layer to that, him steering both left and right. Of course, he's just got the simple halter on and the lead rope, but they're working on both sides, working the left turns, the right turns, being right there. Sometimes Joe's leg is able to kind of touch Cadbury on the side as well, so he's getting used to all of that pieces. You can see lots of turning there because the crossing legs can help horses stay in that thinking frame of mind, and they're doing both left and right. And of course, I'm just kind of giving you guys a few little highlights here and there, so there's a lot more pieces that went into this for how to help him figure out all of these little parts, but essentially, it's working on him understanding that people up high can cue you left, right, and to just get comfortable with all of that and the riding pieces. Then Joe did a little check-in with these one rein bend turns with the rope around the saddle, and so that was the first one that he did, and Cadbury was really good at understanding, oh, okay, we're doing this thing again where you feel the rein. It's mimicking what the rein could do in a one rein bend situation. And you can see here's a moment where Cadbury gets confused and he's like, oh, I don't understand, and he does a little hop thing again where he's not really understanding. And I'm not saying Cadbury's doing anything bad at all, because it probably does feel a little bit like that rope is pulling him a little bit up and back, and he's got to learn to turn to that pressure. Whenever we're learning something new, whether it's a horse or a human, you're going to get confused sometimes. It's going to be unclear, and we're going to try our best, and it might not come out happening the way we want it to or the way the goal is supposed to happen. But what I really like is that Joe doesn't get mad at Cadbury, doesn't smack him or hurt him or make Cadbury feel even worse for getting the answer wrong. He just kind of slows down and does a lot of repetitions to try to help him understand, like, yeah, like you're supposed to turn to this pressure. He does both the right and the left side to make sure he understands that. And this is a real key piece, because when you actually go to ride, like, this is your ability to disengage the horse so you can safely dismount. So being able to understand this is a key part. What was different for me is I've never done it around the horse's horn like that, the horn of the saddle. So that was different for me to see him doing it like that, whereas I've gone around the horse's bum. So now this part here is with Jen and I taking on the part of putting weight on his back with the saddle, and she's leading me and I am kind of walking around, starting with on the ground, and then this is my first time getting up on Cadbury, or at least putting weight up on Cadbury. And this was nice that I got to take part in this piece, which Joe definitely could do this part if he wanted to, but it was nice that Jen and I got to do this part. And Joe, later on, we found out, had actually broken his hand and was still being like super tough and like, yeah, I can, ride my horse and, pony Cadbury off. And he's like, yeah, my hand's bugging me, but we're still doing so much. And so Jen and I were like, okay, like we can do this part here, but you're going to see Joe does some pretty exciting steps with Cadbury the next day, which we'll show you in the next day's video. But this to me is really exciting. This is me putting my weight up on top of Cadbury. We're getting on from the ground, so he's feeling my weight pull him to the side, which is an important part for him to just be comfortable with the human on his back. Now, in general, getting on a horse from the ground all the time isn't great for their back, like pulling them always to the side, especially if you're only doing it from the one side. It's important to help them develop the muscles both left and right, but using a mounting block is generally easier on a horse's back. But for the purpose of getting him going with understanding the saddling and having a rider, having him tolerate that weight pulling him around a little bit is really good, just for the progress of him understanding that this is okay. And then I'm going up and I'm basically a glorified sack of potatoes. I'm just up there being a giant weight, and I'm in a position that I can quickly get off. The way I'm holding the saddle, I can quickly push myself down. So if it were a really sticky situation, I could get out of there. Of course, I've got my helmet on, I've got a safety vest on, so I'm really playing this as safe as I possibly can. And Jenn is leading me, and we're setting it up for safety in the sense that Jenn and I are both on the same side of Cadbury. So when we go to the right, she's on the right, I'm on the right. So if I need to jump off, I can jump off towards Jenn, and then that way she's not trying to somehow keep Cadbury away from me, but taking him towards her. If you can imagine, if I was on the opposite side and I fell away from her, then there wouldn't be many options of where Cadbury could go, because it'd either be on top of her or on top of me. But if we're both on the same side, then it's easy. Just keep Cadbury away from herself, which is also keeping Cadbury away from me. So it helps us stay safe a little bit better. And you can see as he's figuring this out, we're adding in more steps. So this is pretty exciting, that as he's showing that he's comfortable, of course he's getting cookies for being a good little fellow. And we're trying to add lots of positive reinforcement so he understands that human on my back, no big deal. I get all these cookies. It's pretty easy stuff. And we're doing more steps of walk and then jumping down, and I'll go to the other side and get on from the other side to repeat that same process of human gets on and you're going to get cookies and we're going to walk a little bit. So I'm not fully swinging my leg over, because it's much safer to be able to dismount from this position. So this is a great starting point of putting weight on a horse's back. But at the same time, if he were to get really upset, I can quickly push myself off. When you have a leg on either side of the horse, you end up sitting up taller, so they see you from up high more. But also, you're much more trapped on the horse's back. Or if you're going to fall or jump off or bail, it's not as easy as in the position that I am now. So this is definitely one of my favorite ways to start horses and introduce that weight on their back concept. I am definitely not anywhere near as athletic as Joe with all of his springing up and down that we saw in previous videos. But also I did just have a baby, like, what was that, about four months ago at this point, or maybe not quite, maybe 15 weeks ago or so, by the time we got to this point with Cadbury. And that's because I was a surrogate for my sister-in-law that had cancer and couldn't carry a baby. So for me, definitely do not have the agile strength to be able to springing up and down. So using the saddle, the stirrup, going up just halfway. And Cadbury's being a little superstar. I love that he's paying attention. His ears are kind of fixated on me. He's very aware of what I'm doing. Here I'm just kind of going up and rubbing him. She's giving some cookies, and we're just waiting for him to be a little bit more relaxed before I'm hopping down, because there you can see he got a little bit rushed and a little bit worried. And so we don't want to finish on that note. We want to finish a little bit softer. And it could be a bunch of things happening. It could be he's saying, look, it's the end of the night. It's starting to get dark. I don't want to be doing this session. But we want to make sure we finish on relaxation and understanding. So he does a couple little steps there. I come up again, and I'm doing kind of rocking the saddle, making sure everything's okay. And just want to find that good note where I go up. And I'm like, okay, no stress or anything like that. Giving him some cookies, positive associations. And we're like, all right, let's leave it to tomorrow and see what happens. I have a feeling that riding is going to happen tomorrow.
Remember to subscribe and check out harmonyhorsemanship.com for even more learning.